Everyone who trains BJJ knows how to do an armbar. It's one of the stronger and most common locks. It has several setups and can be attached from multiple positions. So in this video, I'm going to teach you 6 armbar escapes that every grappler should know. Okay, so we're going to be covering a variety of armbar counters, some being basic and some being very, very situational. I'll be sure to emphasize this when they come up in the video. If you're finding me for the first time, feel free to subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell to catch all my upcoming videos on BJJ and MMA. Okay, let's get to it. So the first armbar counter we're going to do is the simplest. It's called the stack. So we're going to start off with our partner, getting us establishing an armbar. Now, a lot of times when people are doing this and establishing their armbar, we're going to feel the mechanics going to it. And if we're ever in this position, it's because they got the drop on us. Doesn't mean we can't do anything to combat this. However, we got to act immediately. So with my free hand, I'm going to go ahead and bring this in and take away the farthest leverage point for my opponent, which will happen to be my wrist and hand. How I do that is I grab with the arm that is trapped, I grab the bicep with the free hand, and I bring the free hand up. With that hand, I'm going to go ahead and bring my hand to the outside of their knee. Okay, this will come into play later on. Now, even right here, he can easily rock me down to my back, so I don't want to stay here. I got to start shifting my weight towards his head. So how I do that is bringing my knees, shuffling him to the side. This will elevate his hips and bring his knees above his head. Now, I can't fight here. This is a core battle here. He has a lot more hips that he can extend, and it's hard for me to maintain this, so I had to stabilize this area. To do that, I'm bring my foot on the floor, bring my knee behind his butt. This will help stabilize and keep the knee above his head, and having gravity give me a little help. Now, right now, my shoulders are parallel. I don't want to keep them parallel. I want to start angling the shoulder that's above his head downward. This puts more pressure on his knee, making it a lot harder for him to extend. At which point, I'm going to go ahead and start a small series of jerks to pull the arm out. Now, this attachment here is going to go ahead and come into play. I'm going to tuck this in just a bit more. I'm looking to shuffle around him, getting into side mount. Let's try from a different angle. Partner's getting the armbar. I immediately attach to the farthest leverage point. Tuck on the outside of his knee. Shuffle my feet towards his head. Plant my foot on the ground. Put my knee behind his butt. Angle my shoulder down to the ground. Series of small jerks to get the hand free. Tucking this in. Going around the side now. One more time. On to the next one. Now in this armbar counter, we're going to be playing it, be a little more realistic with it. Because a lot of times when the sack doesn't work, our opponent's going to probably rock us to the ground. So what I mean by that is my partner's going to get an armbar. I'm looking to take the leverage point away, and all of a sudden I'm going to fall down, and I'm on my side. So we're going to start from this position. Now, one thing I want to point out is for this one, we're going to look to figure forward of one of his legs to take away some of the leverage he has. Now, what I mean by that is this. You see how there's a gap here? I'm going to look to turn my frame away, work my legs up, and bring it around. All the while I'm keeping this tight, so I'll be holding the farthest leverage point, hiding as much as I can, bringing my legs, bringing the frame up to the opening, and catch his leg into a figure 4. Now at this point, this doesn't take away all his leverage. He can, if I just try to rock into him, he can still go here and snap my arm. But this does help. So now from here, I'm going to start tucking my elbow down and bringing it right here on the side of his knee. I'm going to start shifting my weight downward, crawling on while keeping his figure 4 around his ankle and keep pushing up. At which point I can look just to turn my hips and come on top. Now there's a small variation you can do, and I'll show that very quickly, and this is more for people who are doing gi, is when they do get this leg in, this figure 4, they'll actually bring their knee, they'll keep the figure 4 and bring their knees up to their chest, as much as possible. And with that hand that's being trapped, they'll look to quickly grab onto their gi. This buys them a little more time while they're pushing this up. And look as they come on top. Try from a different angle now. So now I'm here. Now we're going to play with a couple armbar counters that are more situational. These are not saying they're going to come up every time, but every so often you have someone like anywhere all the way from a white belt to a purple belt kind of makes these mistakes. So we're going to work with those so, so everyone can work with them. So let's go right here. Again, the armbar. Now, this never changes. It never changes. I'm always going to be protecting my arm here, tucking this in if I can. But sometimes you have people who straighten this leg out. For whatever reason, they're not trying to curl around the head, they're straightening it out. And what we can do easily, even if we disconnect for a little bit, is just easily push this up. Now this is not enough. They're going to come back and try to regain their position. If he's holding it nice and straight over my head, I'm holding this tight. I push this up and I get my back on top of his thigh. I keep on sliding up and I look to turn into him and get into his guard. Now, the guard is probably not the best place I want to be in with this individual, but it's better than being in the armbar position. So, again, this is completely situational. This is only going to apply when someone's trying to stretch out this leg for whatever reason. You can even bring your hand down to the side of his knee to start there, and then push. You got to elevate your head, push off your feet, and jump on top of his thigh. He'll look to pull this up and do all kinds of things. Just keep on sliding up and turning in. One more time. Like I said, there's going to be more for rookies. But it's effective and it works. All right. This situation is going to be when people are looking to cross their legs. If I'm holding the S grip and they're looking to cross their legs, a lot of times, because they're crossing their legs, this makes this one unit. This is important. So with this free hand, if I disconnect this and with my free hand push the bottom ankle up over my head, it still puts me in somewhat in danger, but I can still just prop up and be free from the armbar. Now, again, this only works if they're crossing their legs. Now, if the leg is crossed behind your elbow, if I'm right here and he crosses behind my elbow, this is a little different. That's very specific as well. This is more along the lines when they're crossing their legs, and I'm like right here on the S with the S grip, and they're coming across this. I go to the bottom foot, I push up, and sit up. One more time. Okay, for our last situational. Now, we call this the arm pummel. This is not a very common one, and this is not going to be as successful inside, like, say, using gi. But in no gi, when we're looking to fight the hand here and tuck this farthest leverage point, a lot of times people holding the arm or their hand is not holding on to anything. It's not holding on to their thighs. It's kind of just shook, kind of coming up. So with this free hand that I'm normally tucking my trapped arm with, I can go and grab their fist here. When I do that, I'm going to pummel under, which takes away my arm from being trapped, at which point I can drive this elbow down, and I can look to scramble at this point to get on top. Again, I'm right here shielding the farthest leverage point with the free hand. I grab the trapping arm, grab the wrist and fist, arm pummel, tuck the elbow in. You can do it from the other side, and it's actually easier on the other way. Your right hand through. I'm normally blocking the leverage point, bringing my hand down. I can grab the hand, pummel under, bring the elbow in. Again, this is very situational. This is only for no gi. And this is when someone's keeping their hand up, not necessarily attaching the top of their hand or grip into anything else. So now the next armbar counter is going to be a hitchhiker. Now, I want to go ahead and preface this whole thing by saying this is the last resort kind of move. This is not something we're trying to go to. This is when like the stack fails, our figure four fails. They're not putting us in those situational kind of movements or areas and positions, and we're left with they're just pulling on really hard, and we can't fight it anymore. Now, one thing I want to point out is the way that armbar works is we're looking to hyperextend our arm, our elbow. So what's key here is the angle of my elbow. If he's trying to extend me back here, he needs my thumb to point up. So when his hips extend upward, it's hyperextending my elbow. Now, changing the direction of my thumb plays a role in where my elbow is located, or at least angled. So we're going to use that to our advantage in this instance. But when we do that, this is not going to buy us tons of time. If I just angle let's say I just angle this way a little bit, he's going to make some small corrections and bring it back to center. So when I do this movement, it's going to be drastic, it's going to be fast, aggressive, and it's only going to buy us at most like half a second. So we need to make sure we have, we're put into motion, our body's put into motion at that time. That's the only amount we're going to be allowed. So how we do this, when they're pulling all hard, I'm going to bring my thumb and I'm going to point it up and out to the side. Like I said, the most time we're going to buy is about half a second, at which point we're going to have to initiate some movement with our body. We're going to have to elevate our hips. We're going to shuffle our feet clockwise, turn over, and take it back. Again, this is not easy, and this is not ideal. However, if you're in a competition and you're looking to, get that first, somehow win, and somehow you just need a stall, but they're pulling too hard, I get that. In practice, tap before you're succumbing to this. But nonetheless, that's when a Hail Mary. I'm putting my thumb out, circling around. Last time. Throwing the hitchhiker, elevating my hips, shuffling my feet, hip heisting, coming back around. And now wrap this video up. Make sure you drill every counter, because like everything in BJJ, they flow into each other, including our defenses. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, list them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'm Coach EJ.